You know the story, right? It's January 1st, the gym is absolutely packed. You've got the new gear, the new plan, you are ready to go. But then, fast forward to February and it's a ghost town. So why is it so insanely hard to stick with an exercise routine? Is it just some kind of personal failing? Well, the science tells a much more interesting story. It turns out the answer isn't about more discipline, it's about a smarter strategy. So let's really dig into the science of why we quit.
Okay, first things first, let's get a handle on just how big of a deal this is. Study after study is remarkably consistent on this. A staggering 50% of people who start a new exercise program will drop out within the first 6 months. Half of them. So hey, if that sounds familiar, you are so not alone. This is a massive, predictable pattern.
And this, of course, brings us to the big question. Is it really just about not having enough willpower? I mean, it's so easy to blame ourselves to think we just didn't try hard enough. But the science comes back with a pretty loud and clear no. The reasons we quit are way more complex, they're powerful, and they're deeply rooted in our psychology, our environment, and even our own bodies.
Which brings us to the first major battlefield, and it's all in your head. Yeah, it turns out some of the biggest forces pushing you away from the gym are completely invisible. They're the psychological barriers that sneak up and derail our very best intentions.
Okay, so a really key idea to understand this is something called self-determination theory. It gives us this really simple but super powerful way to think about motivation. It basically breaks it down into 2 types. Intrinsic motivation is when you do something just because you actually enjoy it. And extrinsic motivation is when you're doing something to get some kind of external reward.
And figuring out your why is absolutely crucial. Are you exercising for that intrinsic joy? That feeling of being strong, the fun of learning a new skill? Or are you chasing an extrinsic reward, like losing 10 pounds for a wedding or getting compliments from people? Look, the research on this is just crystal clear. Relying only on those external rewards is a huge predictor for quitting, because as soon as that event is over or the praise dies down, poof, so does your motivation.
And this ties right into what we can call the expectation trap. You know, you see these amazing transformations online and you think, yeah, I should look like that in 2 weeks. But our bodies just don't work that fast, right? So when the reality in the mirror doesn't match up with those huge expectations in our head, this wave of frustration just kicks in, and it makes it incredibly easy to just throw in the towel.
Here's another big one. Psychologically speaking, self-efficacy, which is really just a fancy way of saying it's how much you believe you can actually do the thing. And this is tied directly to that expectation trap. When the results don't come fast enough, it chips away at your belief in yourself. So if that belief is kind of low, missing one workout isn't just a tiny setback. Nope. It feels like proof that you were right all along, that you can't do it, and the whole thing can just come crashing down.
Okay, and what about the biggest reason or excuse of all time? I'm just too tired. Well, science actually has a name for this feeling: affective cognitive fatigue. And here's the kicker. Most of the time, it's not your muscles that are tired, it's your brain. The mental exhaustion from work, from stress, from life, it creates this powerful psychological wall that feels exactly like you just ran a marathon.
But look, it's not all in our heads. This next part is about how the world around us throws up some very real, very valid roadblocks. And these things we often call excuses, well, science is here to tell you they're actually legit.
I mean, you look at study after study, and when you ask people for the #1 thing holding them back, the answer isn't laziness. It is, overwhelmingly, a lack of time. And that makes sense, right? In our crazy busy lives, exercise has to fight for a spot against work deadlines, family time, and just the basic need to sleep.
Yeah, and this quote really nails it. What researchers are saying is, hey, stop calling these excuses. That completely misses the point. They are real life constraints. Life is a juggling act, and let's be real, the gym is often the first ball to get dropped when things get overwhelming.
And it's not just one thing, right? These roadblocks all stack up. You've got the high costs of a membership, a gym that's a 20-minute drive out of your way, maybe a partner who isn't supportive, even just feeling awkward or embarrassed in a super fit gym environment. All of these are real, documented reasons that people stop going. Okay, so we've talked about what's going on in your head and what's going on in your life, but there's one more huge piece of the puzzle: your actual body. Sometimes the physical experience of exercise itself creates this powerful negative feedback loop that just pushes us away.
First off, injury. This one's a biggie, because it doesn't just stop you physically. It creates this fear, this anxiety about getting hurt again. And honestly, that fear can be way more powerful than the original injury ever was, and it can keep you on the sidelines for good.
But even if you don't get a major injury, how you feel right at the beginning is so important. You can basically go down two very different paths here. There's the dropout cycle, which I think we all know. You go way too hard, you can barely walk for 3 days, and your brain immediately connects exercise with misery. But then there's the adherence cycle. You start slow, you ease into it, and your body actually starts to feel good. And guess what? You want to do it again.
All right, so we've just looked at this mountain of reasons why people quit. And I know it can feel a little bleak, but here's the good news. The science doesn't just point out the problem. It actually gives us a roadmap for how to fix it. And the big secret? It's about stop trying to force it with willpower and start using a smarter strategy.
So what does that actually look like? What can you do? Well, first, and this is huge, find something you genuinely enjoy. That's how you tap into that powerful intrinsic motivation. Next, set tiny, realistic goals. Seriously, not lose 30 pounds, but more like, I'm gonna walk for 15 minutes after dinner tonight. That's how you build that self-efficacy. And of course, start slow. Avoid that whole pain cycle we just talked about. And finally, get real about your barriers and figure out workarounds. No time? How about a 10-minute workout at home? It all counts.
And really, that's the whole game right there. For so long, the message has been just try harder, have more discipline. But what if the science is telling us we've been asking the wrong question this whole time? Maybe the secret isn't about white-knuckling your way through something you hate. It's about designing a plan that makes showing up the easy choice, maybe even the fun choice. So what if the secret to fitness isn't about changing your willpower at all, but about changing your strategy,